Welcome to Buy, Hold, Sell, brought to you by Livewire Markets. It was supposed to be the year of the cyclicals, but guess what? Since April, growth stocks are back in vogue. Interest rates are down, even though inflation is around. And so it's a great time to talk about what to buy. And to join me today, I've got Ben Clark, TMS, and Justin Braitling from Watermark. And we'll start with you, Ben, the Australian darling that everyone loves to talk about, Afterpay. Buy, hold, or sell?
I'd have it as a hold now, Matthew. I think under 100 it was a buy. So, what we're seeing is this aggressive rollout into the US and now into Europe. And that, sort of flywheel that they talk about where the cohorts are transacting more and more and more frequently. It's the exact same pattern that happened in Australia and New Zealand is flowing through over there. Short-term catalyst, it looks like they will look to float in the US and a multiple, sort of a higher multiple might be applied by American investors.
Justin, we thought we got rid of the buy, hold, buy now, pay later stocks, but guess what? Afterpay's bounced back. It's up about 35% in the last couple of months. Buy, hold, or sell?
Well, I think it's a sell, Matthew. I put Afterpay in there with all the other disruptive technologies, be it Bitcoin or Tesla, and Afterpay is the same. I think the high's in for all of these companies. We probably saw the high, 6 months ago, and it's questionable whether they make a new high. Afterpay's 20% off its prior high, and I think that's probably as good as it gets. There's more competition coming through now. PayPal and Square are soon to launch their own versions. And as more competition comes in, the frequency of use, which drives that flywheel for Afterpay, the reuse rates, that'll come under pressure. And I think the business will disappoint in the medium term as some of those competitive pressures play out. Let's
move on to Treasury Wines. The Chinese, Justin, basically said you're not allowed to sell Penfolds into China. And guess what? It's finding its way in anyway, and the stock's been up a lot recently. Buy, hold, or sell?
I think it's a buy. Treasury is a unique portfolio of branded assets. And Penfolds, as we've discovered, is the prize within that Treasury portfolio. It accounts for the vast majority of profits. A lot of that product is still going into China at much higher prices and it's selling. They're going to try and pivot into the other growth markets outside of China. It's early days, but we're getting some very good feedback there that they're going to be successful with that. The new management team, I think, is a breath of fresh air. I think they're doing a great job. And I think this is a really good buying opportunity for Treasury. Once again, in 5 years' time, we'll look back and we'll see this as a great buying opportunity for a unique asset.
Ben, not even the might of the Chinese government have derailed this good red wine. Buy, hold, or sell?
Yeah, it must be good, mustn't it? I'm going to go hold on this one. They agree with all of Justin's points there. I think management's done an amazing job given all the obstacles that have been thrown at the company recently. The other thing is, it owns an incredible asset, which is a lot of this wine that is sitting in vats and aging, and it's probably somewhat underappreciated by the market. But it's trading on 26 times in the short term. Earnings are projected to fall in the coming year. Although I think that is a bit of a dark shoot. So I'll go a hold.
There's not many students been venturing into Australia these days, but IDP Education is a global business and students are moving around again. Buy, hold, or sell?
I'll go a hold as well on this one. This is a great business. It's one of the companies that is absolutely going to play the reopening trade. A lot of international students, even if they can't get to Australia, have plans to go to the US or wherever, and they need to do the IELTS test. But at 60 times earnings, it doesn't look cheap. This is one of the ones I think you want to put on your list where if you get a broad-based market sell-off, it's a good business to look at buying. The earnings recovery is going to be superb, but I think it's in the price.
Justin, everyone needs to be educated. IDP is in the middle of that. Buy, hold, or sell?
Oh, I think it's a buy. It's a superb business. I think there's enormous pent-up demand out there. We've lost a lot of students in the last through this health crisis. They're there. They're going to sign up in this current season. As Europe and North America opens up, then we've got this big pent-up demand for new students. So I think the enrolments next year will really surprise on the upside. And there's been a real washout of the competition. Many of the smaller competitors have closed through the health crisis. they're one of the stronger players that left, and it's a classic case of the strong get stronger through a crisis.
Ben, some of the growth options have become falling darlings in recent times. Have you got one for us that we might make some money out of going forward?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Appen, Matthew, which has certainly had a very difficult 2021 year, mainly driven by its 5 major customers, which make up about 93% of its revenue, either delaying projects that they were planning on using Appen's data, or changing projects that are moving resources around, which has affected the demand for the data. There's also been some big regulatory changes with big tech over the last year, and the complete shutdown of Silicon Valley and everyone being sent home to work didn't help the business. The market's really concerned about competition. It's concerned that there's some new competitors coming in who are actually using AI to create AI solutions for this player. The CEO is adamant that there hasn't been a change in the competitive landscape. We followed him for many years, and we think he's a straight shooter and says it how he sees it. So I really think this is one where you could see a good ramp up and recovery in earnings, and you're paying 22 times for a business I think is still in a very long-term structural growth area. So Appen's my pick for a buy.
Justin, I get the feeling you've got something similar that's turned a bit sour in recent times. What have you got for us? It's a good growth story.
So I like sour. I like A2 Milk, Matthew. It's a strong buy. The shares are a fraction of where they were 18 months ago. It's pretty clear what happened. Through the health crisis, there was a big pantry restock in China as mother and baby stores and the CVIT channel loaded up on formula. And then they had to deal with the aftermath of that in the ensuing quarters. The channel was full. The crisis passed quickly in China, and all of a sudden, there was a buyer strike. Prices started falling, and because in infant formula, you're so dependent on the channel, the trade. These traders rely very much on a high price. So as the Daigao were faced with falling prices, they just dumped their product. And so new management's come in, they've basically cleared the channel, they've written off all that stock. The Daigao now, they got them out, they got a get out of jail card basically. The Daigao now are reordering, prices are coming back up, and the brand is trading well. They're actually picking up a bit of share. So we think they're all really good signs for the brand. And the street has destroyed earnings in the outer years. The 2023 estimates for profit are a third of where they were 18 months ago. So we think as the business recovers, those profit expectations will really surprise on the upside, and the stock can recover the rating it once traded at. So there's a lot of upside in A2. I think it's the stock for 2022.
So the valuations on some of these growth stocks might be a bit hard to swallow, but a good glass of red wine or even a glass of milk might be just the trick to get us through. I really enjoyed that show. I hope you did too. If you want to see more of Buy, Hold, Sell, why don't you subscribe to the Livewire YouTube channel?